here's another League of Legends post-game commentary coming your way, this time from the jungle. So for this one I'm going to go Shyvana. If you didn't notice, just from the setup that I have, that's what this particular combo is for. Basically I want my fighter rune page that is 8 80 reds, 1 crit red, attack speed quints, scaling number yellows, scaling number blues. From there I want exhaust so that I have the edge in team fights, dueling, ganking, what have you, because Shyvana doesn't have a reliable CC. And then Smite because I'm the jungler. As for this game, if you read the comments in the Skarner one, I decided I'd explain why I hate this season so freaking much right now. And I'll wait until we actually get into game to go into details, but you'll notice we have a mid lane Pantheon, which is something I was a little interested in. Pantheon is one of those guys who snowballs hard early and falls off like a brick late, but if he can get the advantage early, he can sometimes end it before he does fall off. And that's kind of what I thought we were going for. Caitlyn, on one hand, is a lane bully, so she can poke Misfortune from safety, basically keeping her W passive on I don't know if you want to call it cooldown or what, but basically just so that she doesn't get her movement speed as easily. Now the enemy team has Poppy. I was under the impression that was the top laner, but that's actually the jungler. For the enemy team, you can see they have Sona, so they are starting to make a bit of an AoE team comp here with the whole Death Lotus Katarina, Sona Crescendo, Bullet Time Misfortune. And that's going to complicate things a bit. So our top laner is hovering Shen, our support is going to take Nami. And I was not really a fan of the Shen pick because I figure if that's going Shen into Poppy, Poppy can use her W to block the taunt. Ultimately, Shen is a pretty weak laner, so he doesn't really fit into this particular comp. But the good news is it wasn't Poppy top, it was Poppy jungle for some reason, and the enemy team is going to pick Nautilus top. So overall this is pretty weird and random and everything, but this is Flex Q, that's all I can say. So as of this game, the placements have concluded, and I'll go ahead and tell you how it all played out, which is one of the reasons why I hate the game so much these days. 4 wins, 3 legitimate losses, and 3 losses due to autofill bullshit. And by that, in case you're wondering what I mean, because autofill works on all ranks and everything now, you have it occur in the ranks where the people don't really take the game seriously, and if they get autofilled, they decide they're going to troll. And the beautiful part about Flex Q is there's a chance they're not alone, so you're actually going to have more than one troll in the game. Because a lot of people say, well, with one troll, sometimes you can still win if you go early, stuff like that. With 2, you're sunk from the beginning. The game is actually literally over before the first character is even locked in. And if you're wondering why this upsets me so much, in Season 6, Riot was flouting, well, we introduced this new system, Toxicity, which is the only stat they seem to give a damn about, has reached an all-time low in the game's history. Basically, by queuing up for what you want, you don't have to argue in team chat, you don't have to troll, rage, etc. And as a result, the game actually became somewhat better to play. Now that they put this in here, any progress they made last year is completely gone. And the player base is actually reaching all-time lows, in my opinion. So couple that up with Flex Q, you can get up to 3 trolls in one game, since 4 is currently disabled. And it's just a freaking joke. What's worse is with all the changes they made to the jungle, it sucks to jungle. With all the changes they made to assassins, it sucks to AD carry. And if you're not aware, there's currently this weird bot lane Ziggs thing that's starting to catch on. So 2 roles are starting to become marginalized, and you can say, a lot of people say the jungler is easily the most influential person in the game currently. And to that I'd say that's somewhat true. But the problem is, with the changes to the jungle, there's actually a very, very small pool of ones who are influential. That's why Hecarim, Vi, Shyvana, the ones with AoE clears, or the ones who can work a team add into their build early, such as Rengar, Kha'Zix, or Lee Sin, those are the current top. You need AoE to get through the Golem camp somewhat reasonably, and there's a very, very small group that can actually even bother with the Chicken camp and somewhat benefit from it. So to give the chicken camp a little bit of a shout out here, I played a Fiddlesticks game. I have this uploaded on the channel, but it's not available to the public. In case you're really wondering about it, I ended up playing against Red Mercy, who is another YouTuber. And in this game, I actually tried taking the chicken camp with Fiddlesticks at several different points. And there's actually so much damage on these things that I was losing health through drain. And I don't just mean like the first clear, but actually a lot of the early game clears. Then with the changes to the Crow and the Runic Echoes, I still couldn't clear the damn thing that easily. I'll go into more detail about that momentarily. So right here we have a early team fight. This was really reminding me of Infinite Crisis, and since this game is currently taking place in Bronze, it definitely feels that way. So you can see all 10 players meet in the bottom side jungle. I managed to absorb quite a bit of punishment. Since I have a refillable potion, I'm okay with burning that just so I can go back. Unfortunately, I don't know what Pantheon was up to there, but this is one of those segments that kind of sucks. So, attacking Nautilus is a waste in my opinion because he's going to recall and then teleport to lane. So any damage he takes is not going to stick. It's basically the same situation as myself here. I go back, heal, and so on. Now the thing that changes this game up a little bit is I have to do this clear without any help leashing, which is going to set me back a bit. But luckily Shyvana is pretty strong in the first place. But anyway, going back to the whole Fiddlesticks topic, yeah, this is really bad. He recently received buffs to try to make this better, but there's no buff you can give to a person or a character in the game that will make that damn camp worthwhile. It has to have its damage reduced or it has to have its health reduced, one of the two. In its current form, it seriously cannot exist as it is because it's just crippling the jungler population. If you're wondering why this camp is so bad, it's because it's the one in the middle. If this were actually a problem with the golems, say if these two camps were reversed, this wouldn't really be a problem because the golems are off in the corner. You could ignore them. But with the way it currently is, you either have to cross the jungle entirely to get to the golems from the other side, or you have to basically just give up half your jungle. This makes no sense.
On wings of fury.
I know a lot of people joke that there are no junglers in Riot's balance team, but it sure as hell feels that way right now. But anyway, that sums up my thoughts. As for Flex Q itself, I've encountered all sorts of weird crap. To put into context for you, in my placement games, I had games where I was grouped up against like platinum players, diamond players, so on. And I literally had like silvers on my team. As you can imagine, there's just no mathematical way to win this lane. When the silver goes up against the plat or diamond, they're getting butchered horribly. The game is literally over as soon as that first kill takes place. The single worst defender I can think of is a top lane Jax I had against an enemy Tryndamere. He gave up first blood to Tryndamere and that was it. Tryndamere just split pushed the entire game. We couldn't answer his split push and it was game over. Now, a lot of this problem is due to the preseason, I will admit. To give you a further example of this, in this particular game, my team is silver, as you can tell by how they're getting butchered. Enemy team is gold, so it's not that much better, but if you ever wonder the real difference between gold and silver, you can see it in this game. So pretty much, if you want me to spell it out for you, this is one of those games where all lanes lose, and I have to, in case you had doubts Pantheon was going to die, I have to take measures into take measures in my own hands in order to win this one. So you can see Misfortune has yet another kill, and there's pretty much nothing Caitlyn can do at the moment. Like, the one advantage I have to say to this whole Flex Q thing is it's actually caused me to rethink my theory on how the chess system works. So I actually had a game where I had pretty miserable CS, but I had a sky-high number of kills, like almost 20. It was medium-length game. And despite my abysmal CS, these high kills and everything, I still got an S. So in case you're wondering, that was the Shyvana game before this one. So my theory now is on how you actually earn these chests is basically it's based off of gold per minute. People say it's based off of wards set, wards cleared. The thing is, if you clear wards, you do get gold for that. If you last hit, you get gold for that. Right there I had a lag spike. In case you're wondering why I'm staying around, it's just because the buttons aren't responding when I push them. If you get kills, you get gold. If you kill towers, you get gold. All these things, that's the only single common thread between it. And every once in a while you do hear Riot talk about the gold per minute stat. I think that is the primary definer for what your rank is. Just GPM. This would actually be a bit of an equalizer for supports and everything too, since they can still get gold per minute. It'd just be based off of how well they can harass with Frost Queens or just idle with coin, etc.
Your turret has been destroyed. Without remorse.
So, right there you can see that the tower went down already, and if you look at the time for the game, the damage reduction on that tower has not actually elapsed yet. They killed it that fast through its flat damage reduction. Right here I'm trying to show Kate's build. She's rushing a Hurricane, which is going to cost her what's left of the lane. So right here we're going to have a gank, and I'm actually going to type something in chat. Basically, all Caitlyn needed was one longsword. If she had any source of AD, anything, even a coal would have done it. That would have been a dead misfortune. So instead I end up burning my exhaust, they are forced back, but as long as Caitlyn's doing this, it's not going to help her. And in case you're wondering why I always hated the whole crit rush crap, unless your name is Yasuo, you actually do not have anything that scales off of crit. If you were to rush an IE first or something like that, you still get some AD that applies to your skills, so that Piltover Peacemaker will actually hit harder. As it is right now, it's... for her, that is. It's a pretty weak move because she has no AD for it, she has no armor penetration, so it's just its base damage, which is even lower than normal because of armor. That's the state of things. So it's hard to tell if we're shifting into where tanks are gods or if it's assassins. I'm kind of leaning more towards assassins because tanks tend to shine in the jungle usually. And as I said, that chicken camp and even the way the golems work, it's just not that reliable to clear anymore. So right here I decided to go into the enemy jungle. I am... let's see, their jungler was Poppy. I'm considerably stronger than her, pretty much in a duel, and really in all stages of the game. You'll see this come into play later. Now, I don't know if she actually needs that blue buff for a reasonable clear, so I figured I'd go ahead and help myself. And now, since she is essentially a single target clear, she does have the Q AoE, yes, but that's not going to help her for the chickens or the golems, really. So I wanted to steal everything over here and use that to basically get an advantage. So right there, the Grand Skyfall completely whiffs. But I came back here in order to get the Red Smite. And the way I'm gonna kill this Kate's dead too. So yeah, you can see there's pretty much nothing I can do for anything. Normally this is one of those games where you just want to throw in the towel at 20, it's just... at this part I was placed in bronze, I'm thinking the enemy team is bronze, not gold. And... well, I figured there would be opportunities for me to pull stuff off later, and there are. It's just... the reason why I decided to play this out is because I had a low opinion of my opposition. Plus Shyvana is kind of strong at the moment, but that's not going to last for very long, I'm afraid. So I'm moving right here to cut off Misfortune. In reality, I probably should have turned on Sona, to be honest. So the key thing here is, if you notice, I did not get any kills. I don't remember if I'm running Bounty Hunter, but more often than not as Shyvana I am. So as a result, I don't actually get any damage amplification just yet. I still get an assist, but it went to a teammate who is feeding hard. So it's not actually going to amount to anything. So right here, I'm more than game to kill whoever's coming in. I believe it's Nautilus. If he did, he'd die horribly. So right here we managed to take control of Dragon, and this is important because Earth Dragon allows me to take towers and other things more quickly, particularly other dragons. And this is going to devolve into a split push game. So in case you're wondering what my big strategy here in order to come back is, I realize I'm the strongest duelist on the field by a huge margin. There's pretty much no one on the enemy team who can beat me in a one-on-one. And if you've seen other Shyvana games that I've put up, you know that I usually can win 1 versus 2, or sometimes even 1 versus 3. So that's ultimately what's going to come down to. I'm going to end up having to pull multiple enemies on me, and then my team's going to have to team fight when they have the number advantage. As for right here, I could give that to Mantheon, but like I said, he's feeding, so I'd rather keep the gold, the XP, and the CDR for myself. As for my build, I'm going to go Bloodrazor into Fromel. That's pretty much how I've always played Shyvana, so it's the build that's actually gaining popularity right now, which on the one hand is kind of neat, on the other hand it kind of sucks that it's going to be getting nerfed. So right here I ended up eating the Poppy ult. That dragged Katarina's dagger back with me so she can't go shoot bullet. With Camille coming out, I'm really harkened back to the whole idea that mobility creep is stronger than ever. Katarina's Shunpo's all over the place. Whenever she uses it on a dagger, it doesn't go on cooldown, or it goes on cooldown like 1 or 2 seconds tops. Mobility is just so easy to come by, and CC is so unreliable these days. With Fiddlestick Sphere, Rammus Taunt, those are targeted examples. Tarek's Dazzle is gone. Basically, Riot is in... They may say that they're in favor of one thing or another, but it's just... If it's flashy, they like it. If it's not, they don't. Basically, if it interferes with the whole big play notion, then it's gotta go. And I should also comment, if you haven't seen the latest patch notes as of this recording, they are buffing Draven, nerfing Shaco, and they're leaving everyone else intact. Syndra, who can literally just push R and kill anyone who's not a tank. LeBlanc, who's in a very similar boat. All of these things are perfectly fine with Riot because, hey, they're flashy. Meanwhile, the actual problems are just being left unaddressed. It'd be nice if we actually got our 5 bans. Here I finally get my first kill. That way we can actually just ban out whoever's the problem, but as is, even that's running late, if it even arrives at all. We did get our replay system. It's not the greatest, but it is something. Problem is, I'm still waiting to see how Sandbox plays out, because I'm pretty sure with Riot involved, it doesn't matter how, if there's a way to screw it up, they're going to find it. So right here is when I finally settle into the split push, and like I said earlier, I believe I'm running Bounty Hunter, so I get the 1.5% increased damage based off Misfortune's death. And with my Twin Bite, or whatever the Q is called, I can take the towers more quickly. Now right here I realized, okay, they're collapsing on me, I need to make myself scarce. Unfortunately, with how broken Katarina is, there's not really much I can do. So right there I told my team that Nautilus doesn't have depth charge in the off chance they actually want to try something, but it's just one of those games where I can't go on them. So the good news about the item I just got is it's going to give me a little bit more AD. Unfortunately, that's the only piece that really does give me more offensive power. Everything else is HP. You can see right here, Shen is pretty much dead. Pantheon needs to get to safety, and then it's not a total loss. So I have no idea what Caitlyn was doing there. Katarina still had to back off, and I'm rushing down here as fast as I can, but it doesn't really matter. So right there I smite her in case she wanted to go all in. And once again, another kill denied to me, so I can't use my bounty hunter, and it's given to the feeding teammates instead, which resets their gold value. All in all, that was a very good move on Katarina's part, a horrible move on my team's part. So right here, I wouldn't really be afraid of them if my team would actually follow up. I was kind of hoping they would. I absorb all these ults, but nope. Now, this should be an instantly one-team fight just because of all the ults that we have a lot of CC at our disposal with everything Nami can throw, with Pantheon, the cable traps. They can layer all these things together and actually make headway. But they still find a way screwed up. So right there is kind of what I was talking about. They can use the Pantheon W to set up the Nami Q and then the Caitlyn trap. And that's really all that's needed. They can just layer their CC and they win. Problem is, Miss Fortune is just going to go ahead and push the side lanes. And while I can't get a bounty hunter stack off of her anymore, I can still get CS that she pushes, stuff like that. So right here, this is basically just gold for me to collect for my personnel. So right here we have another dragon coming up. Unfortunately, on the screen that I used to provide the post-game commentary, I can't see the emblems and stuff like that. It's just with Katarina taking that, I thought they would be here trying to get it themselves. You can see they're on my tail, but I'm not exactly worried because I am faster than them. Unfortunately, I did need my dragon form in order to get away from Poppy and everything like that. In case you're wondering what the change to Shyvana's ult, where it's now uninterruptible, that means she can pass through Poppy's W. I don't know if that means you're actually able to escape a Camille R, but I would assume that's indeed the case. And I'm not entirely sure what that was. I was willing to give him the blue buff here just so that he wouldn't screw up as much, but we have to give up the one dragon, unfortunately. So this is pretty bad in that they can push down anything after they beat my team. Plus it will speed up any moves that they make on the Baron, or, well, other dragons too.
Quiet before battle.
So you can see right here that some of them are gathering bot, some are gathering mid. At this point, I'm just kind of hoping Caitlyn has her Hurricane and everything. They should be able to wave clear. I wanted to use this opportunity to get a little bit more CS and gold so that I can actually get my Fromel. Plus, even if I went there, they've demonstrated that they kind of suck at following up. So I don't really want to make any plays myself. So I wanted to recall here, but if you notice Miss Fortune's recalling with just a little bit of health. She doesn't seem to know where I am, so I can actually come from here and flank her. Just ambush her from behind. It's basically a free kill for me. Did give the assist to Pantheon, but there's still a lot of problems we have across the map. So I was kind of curious if I could actually sneak up there and take that down real quick. And right here I just opt to take the minion wave so that they can't push any further. Now with burnout down I have to be a little careful, but I'm still fast enough to get away. Good news is I do have enough for the Fromel now. From here I need to go into defenses so that I can take advantage of the HP that I get from my various items, and I think your ult passive is now HP instead of defenses. Which means I need pretty much a Dead Man's Plate so I can stick to people. And I like to get the Spirit Visage so that I can heal better and get a little bit of extra CDR. Final item can either be a Black Cleaver or Blade of the Rim King, depending on what you need. That's pretty much a good all-purpose build. In case you're fighting more AP or AD, you could shift it some ways.
The dragon nears.
For the S-rank game that I had, I think I went Thornmail. So I wouldn't say there's really a wrong answer, just know why you're building stuff. That's the key thing, otherwise gold goes to waste. So right here you can see that they're at the Baron Pit. I don't know if they planned on baiting that or what exactly, but they don't really have a good team to take it.
I will end them.
For Katarina, she has to basically rely on her passive, hitting the various daggers. They do have Misfortune, but she seems more interested in split pushing rather than team objectives. Now right here, Nautilus screwed up royally. So I eat the Depth Charge and I go ahead and tank tower for Pantheon. With my Bloodrazor and the, God, I forgot what her E is called, Flame Breath or something like that, you can see that we can tear through Nautilus. This time I needed Mantheon's help, but once I actually have a little bit of armor, I can take him pretty easily. And then once I have MR, I can actually withstand his attacks rather than just the tower. And since I can't rely on my team for team fighting, here I'm just going to stick to split pushing. Basically, as long as Caitlyn can wave clear, I can take these. That's pretty much her one job here that she can't screw up. So you can see that they're pretty much holding them at bay. Since there's no one here at the moment, I just keep pushing. Unfortunately, Nautilus shows up, I believe. And I can't really do anything to him just yet because I don't have the armor to withstand the tower shots. So I have to turn around, and I could look to try something on them, or I could pick up whatever I come across. The thing is, you just have to keep in mind there are 4 of my teammates there and 3 of them. So they should have had an easy collapse and easy kills, but like I said, silver versus gold. There is a skill difference, unfortunately. So right there, that red buff is going to come in handy for the upcoming duel with Nautilus. And since I realize he's the one I'm about to fight, I go ahead and go for MR first. So I want the Kindle Gem for CDR, I want the Cowl for healing and stuff, and you can see Misfortune just mows down the top in support. I think that's Nami who started the surrender mode. But at this part, there's really nothing Nautilus can do once I get to him. With red buff and Fromal, I'm just going to tear through him, no matter what he does. He can try to Q to safety and everything, but there's just no escape. That's one of the problems with Shyvana, I'd say. Also worth pointing out, if you notice, I'm using the new Fervor, so that's like, let's see, I'm at 190 AD, and once those time out, I go down to, I think that's 159. So that's basically like 30 free AD, and it's only going to go up as I level up. Now, the problem with that on Shyvana, for enemies that is, your Q counts as 2 auto attacks. So if you auto an enemy and Q, you instantly have 6 stacks of Fervor. So yes, you can get a massive surge of AD that fast. Then using Burnout, you can just stick to them to get that final hit, even worse if you have the Fromal. And there's just no answer to that unless they have some sort of escape to hop a wall. And I mean that because dashes won't do it. She's fast enough and Burnout is low enough CD that you can stick to them still. So right here I'm not worried about fighting because I have my ult to jump the wall. So no matter who shows up, I'm pretty much safe. So you can see Poppy charges me and I say screw it. I can get my ult back pretty easily. So we got an Ocean Dragon, which is pretty helpful for Pantheon. That's going to give him a little bit of mana sustain. But the most important part is that allows us to resist an enemy siege. So if you're wondering, even if Poppy had showed up earlier, I should still have had Dragon Control. I don't know if I was higher level than her, I can't see that number in particular. But with the Bloodrazor and everything else I have, I should have been able to spike it down, smite it, and we'd have been golden. Now with the 2 that I pulled bot, you can see that Shen went ahead and got the top lane. They decided to make a play for Baron, and unfortunately for them, Shyvana does a decent amount of magic damage, so I can take advantage of the Baron. So here I am, and watch the Fervor stacks. So right here, the target I need to kill is actually Sona because of the shield she's providing. So I turn focus. So keep in mind that's another bounty hunter stack. Poppy knocks me into Nautilus. I kill Poppy for another bounty hunter stack. And then, like I said, there's just no way for Nautilus to escape from me. Even with Nami's E, it's that much worse. So we can go ahead and take Baron off that. So pretty much the reason why we won that fight was because of the Baron increasing damage and just softening them up before we got there. You could argue, yes, I'm kind of fed, and at this point I should have 4 bounty hunter stacks. The only one I'm missing is Katarina. So whenever I hit an enemy from here on out, I'm dealing 6% increased damage. So with that, my split push just became that much more dangerous. Now, I don't think I actually have I can't see my gold number, but I wanted to make sure I had enough to get a chain vest and everything, and you can see they killed Katarina, and that's a free tower for us. So I was actually pretty satisfied with that overall. Here I'm going to ditch the potion because it's not really helping me anymore. It's basically a negligible amount of health for this stage of the game, so I can ditch that and get the chain vest instead. Now, the bad news is their team shows up, kills Shen. We do take down Sona, but it doesn't really matter. That's just one less Baron buff we have overall. And since we're in a position of power right now, that's why I want to go push the mid. Basically take advantage of the Baron and try to get some of the towers that are more difficult to take. So right here you can see that Poppy is basically forced to use her ult for disengage purposes. She can't afford to actually use that just to buy her a little bit of extra time by doing the insta-cast, which is kind of stupid in my opinion. But right here I'm just hovering in the wings, that way they know if they engage, I engage. And with the way the game has been playing out, that's not something they really want at the moment. And going back to the topic of Bounty Hunter, if you remember, Katarina's the one stack left to get. And there she is. So when I'm hovering around here, she's the one I'm watching. She's the one that I want to kill. I can help myself to the red buff. And then I can go push top lane while they push mid. Basically, we have to fall back to the whole split pushing thing in order to win. It's reasons like this why, when I actually decide to come back to flex, and I'm not farming chests or anything, I'm probably going to stick to duelists who can split push their way to victory, but as is, I'm just going to leave my flex where it is, I think. So the team fight played out, 4 of them went down. And right here, hopefully you can see the writing is on the wall. Unfortunately, I don't think your Q does extra damage to the inhibitor. It does to the towers, though. And then we can converge on the bottom tower. Right here I move to try to cut off Misfortune. You can see that she's a little afraid of me. Pretty much everyone on their team is, to be honest. But with that, their base is completely open, so we can fall back, regroup. We should have a lot of gold to spend after all those towers we took, all the minions that were farmed and all that. So we want to spend the gold before picking the next fight, which should give us a better advantage against them. And then, like I said, there's no one on their side that can actually keep up with me in terms of dueling power. So worst come to worst, if we need to split push or something, that's not a problem. For my final item here, I want the cleaver. That way I have a little bit of extra movement speed, I can cleave through armor. Plus it's a little bit of CDR so that I can use my spells a bit more. Since Shyvana is resourceless, it's kind of important to take advantage of that now and then. So right here I'm moving to try to threaten Sona. Worst come to worst, I'm going to just toss out a ward and get some vision, so not a big deal. and the only chance they have to win this fight is if they actually grouped up and used their AoE ults properly. But if you look in the mid lane, we can actually see where all of them are, so this is pretty much our dragon. There's nothing they can do to contest. Also worth pointing out, it's another mountain dragon, or earth dragon, whatever you want to call it. So, additional damage dealt to structures, to other objectives such as Elder Dragon, or even Baron Nashor. So, here we go. Now keep in mind the one I'm looking for is Katarina. That one. So that was the final stack of Bounty Hunter. I'm now capped at 7.5% additional damage. Sadly, it did come at the very end of the game, but still, it's nice to have in case this wasn't the final push. Like I said, I wanted to tunnel on her. She was the one that was higher priority to me than anyone else. So they say they threw, but not exactly. But that's what a bronze flux game looks like. I'm not impressed, are you? But anyway, like I said, this is going to be the last flex game I upload. From here, I'm either going to go back to normal draft, or I'm just going to take a break from League for a little while to let all this ranked crap play out, and hopefully Riot can address the horrible balance problems they currently have. I'm not holding my breath, but we can hope. So you can see A+ overall in terms of damage. I didn't really deal the most because of Pantheon, but if not for his crit system, then yeah, I would have been up there. In terms of damage taken, that went to Shen. Overall, I was more of a balanced thing here. But yeah, to split push to win, I'm afraid. So, those are my thoughts on everything. You got to see the game, you got to see my final flex for a while, and I'm out of here. I'm the Hero of Light. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.